Councilwoman Brooke. Are we missing in? Anybody sneak in? Anybody walking down the hallway? Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Let me start by saying that over a year ago, the people of the city voted for a bold vision that I promised to them, and that was to make Philadelphia the safest, cleanest, greenest big city in the nation with access to economic opportunity for all. While we're just getting started, I want to state for the record to the people of our city that this budget is a huge step to making good on that promise to the people. I've said it often, and the message doesn't change. I can't do it alone. Without the partnership and the collaboration of this Council President Kenyatta Johnson, the serious leadership that Council President Johnson displayed, despite all of the efforts, Council President, for folks to want to see us engaged in some brouhaha battle, we found a way to work to get it done. I want you to know, Mr. President, that I respect you, and I thank you, sir, for being the leader that you are. We don't get through this process without you. Please give our Council President another round of applause. We all worked till late last night, and as I came this morning, Council President and members of City Council, and when we were coming in, Council members Lozada and Gaultier and I and the President, we were saying this is the part that some people don't see, but it was when the details get hammered out. I'm someone who sweats the details. Philly, if you hear anybody say that, I want you to believe it. And I hold myself and my team to the highest standards. There's no easy A to be earned with me, and that's for sure. So when I went back to my budget address, Mr. President, that's what I was doing last night to see what kind of grade we should get on did we deliver on the promises when you gave your opening when we were sworn in, and then the budget address. First, I promised no new taxes. Not only did we deliver on that, we also worked with council to implement additional relief measures to protect homeowners from rising property tax bills. I know Council President Johnson and Council Member Gaultier will go into the homestead exemption, increasing it from $80,000 to $100,000, but this is also when institutional knowledge comes into play, because it was during my tenure as chair of the Philadelphia delegation in the Pennsylvania House when Philadelphia received the enabling authority to even enact a homestead exemption. So to see the legislative body, Mr. President, move forward and us use that as a tool to help the people of our city, it affirms for me that our work matters. In addition, we are investing $1 million to make sure that we get the word out to residents, to increase participation in city money-saving programs like the homestead exemption. Why does this become important? The city of Philadelphia has a menu of options that provide financial relief programs in a world where it doesn't make a bit of a difference if people don't know about the saving programs that you have in existence. I promised that we would be laser focused and unapologetic about connecting our people to services and supports, and we've done that with this budget. We also didn't whisper about making Philadelphia's public safety our #1 priority. We did not apologize about that. We are full steam ahead on implementing and now funding the public safety plan released by our Police Commissioner Bethel on day 100. This budget funds more police officers, expansion, and more training for community policing. You will see officers walking the beat and riding the bike in your neighborhood, Philadelphia, because you deserve it. And without your having to call 911, they will be a part of the fabric of our neighborhoods. We also worked on targeting investments to address quality of life nuisance crimes citywide. We heard you. We listened to you. Many residents have said to us, and Mr. President and members of council, I don't know if you all have heard this, but they have said, because we have already started trying, that they're beginning to see a bit of a difference in their neighborhoods, but we knew that we couldn't sustain it if we didn't get the dollars through the budget process that could only get done by members of council. For the record, I want to note that homicides and shootings are down substantially through the first 5 months of the year. We will not rest. It is nothing for us to celebrate about. We have so much more work to do, but we're getting it done. In addition, with council's partnership, we're investing in additional resources to support our community-based organizations who do tremendous work every day to prevent violence from occurring. That's extremely important. You've heard us talk about the PIE. The PIE is the strategy that I've embraced to address public safety. It focuses on prevention, intervention, and enforcement, the PIE approach, and that is the path on which we will continue to tread to make sure public safety is addressed. I want to note that nearly $29 million in community-based anti-violence programs will be funded. $29 million, Philadelphia, for the people on the ground doing the work. We told Philadelphians that this budget wasn't just about new money, but it's also about new approaches on how we deliver city services, ensuring a government that residents can see, touch, and feel. We're hard at work delivering on that promise. This is what Philadelphia, this is what we mean when we say one Philly, a united city. Director Carlton Green, who has Carlton Williams, head of our Clean and Green unit. You have done an amazing job. The phone was ringing yesterday when people saw the One Philly, a United City, citywide cleaning and greening program kick off yesterday. We were out silo busting. That's what we call it when organizations like SEPTA and the Parking Authority and the school district and streets and CLIP, all of them working together to make sure that the cleanliness and greening the city is a priority. We did that yesterday, and this is how we will literally tackle the Philadelphia moniker that has been given to our city. We are done with that Philadelphia moniker, and we're on our way. And if anybody sees me and asks me, when are you coming to my block? We're on our way. Just give us a minute. That's what everybody is saying. Well, when are you coming to my block? I also promised access to economic opportunity for all. And I know my friends on city council, they share this view that economic growth is the antidote to poverty. And it's the best anti-violence tool around. If you want to see violence reduced, give a man and or a woman the opportunity to earn a living wage, earn health care and access to retirement security so that they can take care of their families. That's how we ultimately reduce crime. How are we doing that in this budget? We're funding ladders to opportunity. You just don't get there. There have to be pipelines and pathways. And we're expanding the ranks of what I consider to be my baby, which is Philadelphia taking care of business. It's those people who are in neighborhoods sweeping, cleaning, and greening. And I want them to know I'm super proud of them. This next one will make us the first in the nation. And I'm probably going to go to sleep every night reading about this and wake up in the morning reading about this one because I'm so excited about it. We are standing up the first in the nation city college for municipal employment at Community College of Philadelphia in partnership with the School District of Philadelphia. Why? Why? And this is important for the people to know this. I'm excited. I'm excited. Philadelphia, this is important because we are now going to be building our own talent pipeline and putting people on a path to self-sufficiency, not only for municipal jobs here in our city, but plugging them into workforce opportunities for every industry that is thriving in the city of Philadelphia. And you won't need a hookup to get access to it. All you'll need to be is a resident of the city of Philadelphia. Go through our catalog, walk in our doors, and we will plug you into what is available. In addition to that, I want to say this, and I hope Camille is here. Investing in workforce development and employer partnerships. This is not going to be a revolving door of training programs. These are opportunities where you will earn while you learn, because if you've worked all day and you're trying to go through some kind of training in the evening, you need to earn dollars so that you can make sure that you are taking care of your family, and we're going to make sure that that's a priority. Philadelphia, I'm excited, and you remember how we opened. I said, don't simply listen to what I say, watch what we'll do. And this is what we've done by working with our council leadership to deliver for you. Now, the next piece, and I know Council President, he and I have had many talks about this, and this is definitely just the first step in this area. I promised that we would start advancing toward the goal that I publicly affirmed, and that was 30,000 units of housing through the new construction of housing and for preservation of existing housing and repair of housing. This budget makes meaningful investments in each of those pathways. And again, we're pairing those investments with new approaches, such as important changes with the zoning board, the land bank, and disrupting the status quo, breaking down those silos and making government work better for people. We also promised that we would innovate, and this is really just part one for that housing. Stay tuned, and we'll be coming really soon with a next part as we talk about a larger vehicle in order to make good on that promise. We also promised to innovate to provide a world-class education for students of all ages and backgrounds. We are going to announce that we will have the first 20 schools in our commitment to provide young people with extended day and extended year enrichment and career development programs here in the city of Philadelphia. Councilman Spiller, good to see you. And we're showing our commitment to bringing together diverse stakeholders. We're working with the School District of Philadelphia. We're working with charter schools and other education stakeholders to lead a historic and unified push in Harrisburg for additional state funding. And Mr. President, nothing slips by you. We've been making some trips and visits to visit some different models about how we can be innovative in delivering on our promise, and I'm really excited about this first step. Finally, I said this in March. I had hoped that my administration and City Council would work together with diplomacy, diligence, and purpose to implement a budget for the people of Philadelphia. I said, don't just listen to what we say, watch what we do. Last night, Philadelphia, and this morning, we're showing the people of Philadelphia what we did and what we set out to do, and what the people of our city over a year ago agreed to in our historic One Philly budget that makes deep investments in our city and in our residents. Hear me on this. Someone's going to say something's missing, Mr. President. Members of council, somebody's going to look through what we did, and they're going to say, we forgot something. Has it been 5 months or 6? The months are running together. They're going to say we should have gotten it all done in 5 or 6 months. This is just the beginning. We're just getting started. There is so much more work to do. Council President Johnson, thank you. Congratulations. And we could not have expected to get more out of this standard operating procedure that we've established here. This is no more for you and I to be able to look back at how past leaders got it done. Now, when it doesn't work, it's on my shoulders, it's on Council President Johnson's shoulders, and all members of council's shoulders. And I'm proud to tell the people of the city of Philadelphia, we got it done together. Thank you, Mr. President. Floor is yours, sir.
So, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. And to my colleagues in City Council and as well as the Mayor's Administration, good morning again. And so we left about 1 o'clock last night. But most importantly, because we were doing the business of the people. And so I'm going to first and foremost start off by acknowledging my Chief Financial Officer. Raise your hand, Helen Loghead. Please raise your hand. Helen and a young man named Stefan Johnson worked very closely. Where's Rob DeBow and Sabrina and Bob McDermott? Give them a round of applause as well. So most people may or may not know this budget process just didn't start. Your mayor had the foresight to work with my appropriations chair during the mid-year transfer process to begin making sure we create a budget, right, that will make the city of Philadelphia the safest, cleanest, greenest city in America with economic opportunity for everyone. And so the reason why we had that jump start and the pledge and the commitment to clean, I don't know now. John Street, he did clean up cars, but you said, I'm gonna clean every block in every neighborhood, right? Which sets a standard. And so when I called Carlton Williams and said, she had not picked a better person to take on that leadership challenge, to take our city to the next level. And so for me, the press asked questions and want to kind of know how we got here. I mean, this wasn't really a hard budget, right? Most members of council are in line with what we're trying to do in terms of taking the city of Philadelphia to the next level, making sure we have a budget that's fiscally sound, but most importantly, equitable for all the residents here in the city of Philadelphia. So when you talk about the accomplishment of achieving 30,000 units, we're all in alignment with that by supporting the Philadelphia Energy Authority to make sure they have the funding that they need to allow individuals who need to rehab their homes. A senior might need a new roof, they might need a new window, and have to make a decision to pick between paying their prescription drugs, right, or maintaining their home. That's the investment in this budget. Making sure that if you can't become a first-time home buyer just yet, you'll have the rental assistance that you need, a national program that makes sure that everyone, irregardless of their economic status in life, they're treated equally, right, in this particular budget. Everyone knows that I'm a strong advocate of making sure that we keep guns out of the hands of young men here in the city of Philadelphia. And as the mayor talked about, making sure we continue additional funding for the boots on the ground organizations, which I believe is the #1 reason why we have seen a significant decrease in gun violence here in the city of Philadelphia. So those are just some of the key things, but also when you talk about the issue of gentrification, right? Us having the opportunity to not only expand the homestead exemption, but allowing individuals to save more than $1,400 on their tax bills from the expansion of the homestead exemption, right? But also, and I want to give her an opportunity to talk briefly. Young lady came and said, listen, right, we want to make sure also when we address the issue of gentrification, we want to make sure we have tax relief for all individuals. You shouldn't have to be a senior, right, to have the opportunity to have your taxes frozen. She said, well, I have a bill as a part of my home stabilization package that I would like to introduce, and no problem. Any way that we can help individuals stay inside their homes, right? Because everybody has a right to live in any neighborhood they want to in the city of Philadelphia, irregardless of their checkbook and or their pocketbook. We have a moral obligation to make sure that everyone have that opportunity. And so I'm going to ask my chair of housing and homelessness to please come on up and talk briefly about her legislation to freeze taxes for those individuals who are low income. Councilman Jamie Gaudier.
Good morning, everybody. I'm really glad and proud to be here to talk about the inclusion of the low-income property tax freeze in the budget agreement. The communities that endured redlining and deindustrialization and disinvestment are now at risk in our city due to taxes that they may not be able to afford and that make them more vulnerable to speculative development. We saw this dynamic on full display during the last round of property tax assessments. My office, and I'm sure lots of other council district offices, was flooded with calls from seniors and other low-income homeowners who expressed confusion, anger, and fear after receiving their property tax bill. They worried that they would lose the home that they had lived in for decades. They worried that they would have to say goodbye to the neighborhood where they had grown up and where their parents and grandparents grew up. And they worried that they no longer had a place in our city. During the last round of property assessments, more than 100,000 homeowners saw their assessments jump by 50%, 100%, 200%, and even 300%. And we know that these are sudden increases that are too much for the average household to bear. And so I want to be very clear that this property tax freeze is not a handout. This is an investment in home ownership in our city. By making sure that our neediest homeowners can afford their tax bills, we invest in their ability to remain in our neighborhoods where they can continue to shop and dine and work on our commercial corridors, steward our neighborhoods and public spaces, and reinforce their block sense of community. And so I really want to thank Mayor Parker and Council President Johnson for recognizing the importance of keeping low-income homeowners in their homes. And thank you so much to the bill co-sponsors, Majority Leader Gilmore Richardson, Minority Leader Brooks, Minority Whip O'Rourke, Councilmember Landau, Councilmember Lozada, and Councilmember Squilla. And thanks to all of my council colleagues for supporting. I'm so proud of this budget as a whole and to be a part of this team. Thank you so much.
I just as we wrap up, I just want to say one thing also. And I always consider myself a humble public servant and a servant leader. And I just want to acknowledge just my colleagues, because if they wanted to, they could have made my life much difficult and said, listen, we're holding the line on a variety of different things, like you go back in there, because at the end of the day, I have 16 other bosses that I have to respond to, right? And so I'm humble enough to understand this. So to my Chair of Appropriations, Mark Squilla, just give him a round of applause. And to the leader of the Kensington Caucus, I call her the little boss, right? Little boss lady. Councilman Ketsi Lozada, I just want to acknowledge her. I want to acknowledge the minority leader of the Working Families Party. I want to acknowledge Councilman Kendra Brooks. And you already heard from my chair of housing, Councilman Jamie Gaudier. And so, listen, right? We can always, and as the mayor said, and I love your enthusiasm and your energy, right? You can always try to find a variety of different things that's not working, right? But let's also talk about the things that are working in our great city of Philadelphia. We have some great days ahead of us, and I also recognize that we're stronger working together on behalf of the people here in the city of Philadelphia. And so, to Mayor Parker, to you and your administration, let's look forward to doing great things and moving the city of Philadelphia forward. And thank you for having me. Take care.
We do, Mr. Council members. You don't get to leave that fast. Oh, I'm so, Mr. President, you know, my aunt watches you and she talks about how you start caucus, the city council, you start everything on time. But can we take just a couple questions, sir, if that's okay? I'm sorry, yes, ma'am. So let me just, and this is extremely important to publicly affirm, we have drug and alcohol, substance use disorder, mental and behavioral health providers in neighborhoods across the city of Philadelphia, and you just don't know that they're providing the services. So one, we want to make sure that we're working with all of those existing partners. When I met with the council president, I likened it to domestic violence shelters in the city of Philadelphia, and as a former councilwoman, I had domestic violence shelters in my district, and they were there, but people didn't know that they were there. So these providers are already in existence in neighborhoods across the city. Second, the location, and we knew we would get some pushback on this, and I want to be honest and, own this, Philadelphia. The location that the city of Philadelphia currently owns is a part, an extension of, contiguous to our county prison campus. I knew that when we identified that location, I would have to carry a great deal, receive a great deal of criticism, because people would say that I was attempting to criminalize addiction. People have a right to have their opinion, but I want the people of this city to know what we did. The city owns land that currently we have the ability to provide these services on. As a matter of fact, people who were there in the shelter supports and services that were provided before they went to other locations across the city have affirmed that they had received some of the greatest care available at that location. We are going to make sure that it is safe and secure. Someone drove by it yesterday and said, well, it looks like a prison. It's a part of the prison complex. It's contiguous to it. I don't apologize about that. The public safety and security of the surrounding community, it comes first. The lighting, the cameras, the overall quality of life there, and ensuring that the services provided behind those fences, behind the gates, that they do so with a sense of dignity, that quite frankly, people facing substance use disorder and homelessness and mental and behavioral health problems, they haven't gotten that kind of quality support and or service ever before in the history of our city, led by our city. And so that is the location. We're going to build two new buildings there that will be immediately in the area in which someone thought it was a bright idea some time ago to put some tiny houses that don't contain any plumbing, trying to help people facing homelessness and substance use disorder, and thinking that was dignity. And the Parker administration's perspective is just different. And that's what we attempt to do, Lauren. It's not the airport, it's actually at the prison complex. That $100 million, and I want to have to say this, I'm happy that we passed it, but I've got to be honest to the people in the city of Philadelphia to tell them that doesn't even pay for everything that we need to build at that particular location. It's just, it's the start. It's a drop in the bucket, as the council president just affirmed. It's just a start, but it will help us. Right now, we're already, as the council president referenced in his remarks, we're already working on rehabbing the existing cottages that are currently in existence. The first time I went there, the first thing I said, and my building trades friends, they'll be laughing at me because they'll know I don't have an ounce of understanding about any of it. But when we walked through, Mr. President, I said, oh, this place looks like it has good bones. But I didn't know what I was looking at. I was talking about the aesthetic appeal. I wasn't talking about the HVAC, the electrical work, the carpentry, the plumbing, and all of those systems that have to be stabilized in any kind of facility we would develop. So we're currently doing that right now. Managing Director Adam Teal, and wherever he is, thank you, sir. So give Managing Director Teal a huge round of applause. Thank you. So it's a start, and thankfully, because of his visionary leadership, he's found a way for us to be able to get working on the existing cottages now. But the $100 million right now is totally devoted to the building of 2 new and stabilizing the existing. But I want Philadelphians to know the work has already started. And I appreciate that question, Lauren. Thank you very much. Next question. Somebody had their hand up. Yes, I thought it was okay. Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, Councilwoman, can you please affirm?
Yes, I'm very excited that $14 million for the University City Townhomes is. And so that money will allow us to rebuild 70 units of low-income housing in University City that will last forever. It will be permanently affordable.
And listen, and that's extremely important, right? It's extremely important to us because we needed to drive those dollars to that project for the preservation of affordable housing. Councilwoman Gaultier, just for the record, when this administration decided that it would support the funding of those, I want you to know that those 70, they're part of our 30,000. I'm counting, okay? So that is a part of our 30,000 unit plan. Philadelphia, we're delivering already. Thank you. Yes, sir. Well, I know I will publicly affirm this. And again, this is Rob DeBose, the number 6.37? Sophie's like, yes, 6.3. Okay, thank you, Soph. $6.37 billion. And I think for all of us, and we met with and talked with all members of council president, and I want to affirm this. In every meeting that we had, Council President Johnson affirmed that he had 16 members, and they had interests and priorities. And every time we left the table, yeah, everybody's talking about this is a good budget. Council did pretty well in this budget too. That he had 16 members that he had to go back and work with and deliver for, and we did just that. So if you ask me the biggest, and I'm gonna have to say this out loud, some people wanted us to be able to do everything, and they act like the city of Philadelphia was the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has a $14 billion surplus. We're the little old engine that could, Councilwoman Landau, right? We're trying to move forward, and I think that there were folks who wanted us to be able to fund about $10 billion worth of work that needs to be done in the city, and the demand is there. The need is there. The people are not wrong in wishing and hoping and expecting that we make many more investments. But I will argue, Mr. President and members of council, we did the best we could with what we have. Now, if we do well and more businesses come, and we get a $14 billion surplus, then we can do more. But with the limited revenue generating capacity that we have, we did the best we could. Council President formed the Tax Reform Commission. In the fall, they're going to be releasing the results of all of their plans and recommendations for government. The hope is if once we can implement some tax reforms, the work we're trying to do with Safe, Clean, and Green, we can grow the tax base. And if we grow the tax base, that's when we get more revenue so that we can make more aggressive investments in neighborhoods and in people across the city of Philadelphia. But Mr. President, thank you. He's out. He's got to go start on time. Thank you all so very much.
Good morning.